Have you ever wondered what it takes to build not only a successful business, but a successful business that actually matches up with what you love doing? Well, enter Daniel Priestley. So by the age of 24, Daniel had already laid the foundation for multiple businesses, each scaling beyond the $10 million mark. And he's penned 5 well-known books on entrepreneurship, including titles such as Key Person of Influence and Oversubscribed. And I actually recently got my own copy of Key Person of Influence, where Daniel discusses the details of niche carving and really becoming that irreplaceable figure in your chosen field. It's the one that everyone turns to, the one that can't be substituted. But today I want to spotlight a particular video he shared, which is called Passion versus Profit. Be very careful how you build your business. And in this video, Daniel introduces us to the concept of the Entrepreneurial Sweet Spot, or ESS. So picture a Venn diagram where you have 3 circles. You have your passions, your lucrative opportunities, and you have genuine problem solving. And these all intersect. And that overlap, that's called your ESS. It's where your passions meet market demand, ending hopefully in a business that not only thrives, but makes you want to fly out of bed every morning. So let's pivot this conversation now to online businesses. Whether you're building a digital empire from scratch or you're considering acquiring an existing one, understanding your ESS is probably the first conversation you should be having with yourself. It's the compass that'll guide you to a project that you'll not only profit from, but also love. So let's start with explaining the ESS. Okay, so the concept revolves around our 3 key elements, which is passion, problem solving, and payment. So we're going to go through each one and show you what happens if you're missing one of those legs on this 3-pronged stool. So when you have passion plus payment, but without problem solving, Daniel calls that unethical, where you're deeply passionate about your business and it's financially rewarding, but it doesn't actually address or solve a real world problem. And this situation might lead to short-term gains, but actually lacks the sustainable impact that businesses arguably should exist for in the first place. Then you have solving a problem plus passion, but without payment. And in that scenario, that would be pretty unrewarding. Here you find yourself invested in a cause or a problem driven by real passion, but while this might be for a noble cause, if it doesn't actually translate into financial stability or profit, it becomes an unrewarding journey that doesn't really spell success as far as businesses go. And this imbalance can really lead to burnout and frustration despite how passionate you are about it, as your efforts and your resources aren't adequately compensated. And then next there's getting paid and solving a problem, but without the passion. So in that scenario, that's unfulfilling. So in this example, your business might be profitable and even solving a significant problem, but if you're not passionate about it, it becomes kind of a soulless journey. And the lack of personal connection or enthusiasm can make it feel more like a chore than a fulfilling career path. And I actually remember one of my first online business experiences, which was working on a dropshipping business in men's fashion and accessories. And it was my friend's business, and initially I was just really excited to work on something online business related, to just be in the space. And I was working with suppliers, posting on social media, I was messaging customers, but after some time passed and that new initial excitement wore off, I realized I didn't really enjoy posting about the products. I didn't feel a connection with my audience. I didn't see a bigger mission or a vision for what I was building. And because of that, it very quickly started to feel like a chore for me. So if I were to look at this through the ESS Venn diagram, I'd say I was low on the passion part of this, and the amount of money that was coming in just wasn't enough to make up for that. But honestly, I actually don't know if even more money coming in would have ever made up for that. I probably would have just felt more trapped, or I would have thought of this business as kind of purely a means to an end to get to do something that I actually did want to do. And when I thought about that, I thought, why don't I actually just start with doing something that I actually do want to do? But I've also gone on the other side of the spectrum, where I worked for something I was just purely passionate about, but in retrospect was a pretty inefficient and tiring or fatiguing business model. And it had me working a ton of hours for not much pay. So I feel like I've ventured around the Venn diagram, sometimes going to extremes of each and finding each of those areas just unsustainable. And for this reason, it resonated with me when Daniel Priestley said that operating a business within your ESS should indeed feel like a warm sit by the fire feeling. It's not about those extreme highs and lows, but about finding that comfortable, sustainable spot where passion, problem solving, and payment can exist together. And this balance is especially important in the online business world with just so many options to choose from. So let's talk about how the entrepreneurial sweet spot could be applicable in the online business world or for different business models. So if it's down to e-commerce or Amazon FBA, imagine you're passionate about sustainable living. So you identify a problem that you care about, which in this case, let's just say is the excessive use of single-use plastics. You then create a line of eco-friendly products and sell them on Amazon. So here your passion, which is sustainable living, meets a problem, plastic pollution, and results in payment. So sales from your products through the vehicle that is e-commerce or Amazon FBA. And that's ESS in action. So this is obviously a pretty basic example, and all of these examples will be pretty basic and mostly meant to help you think about how you can apply this in your own life or towards your own business. So next, let's talk about if you want to run a content site instead. So let's say you love traveling and you notice there aren't enough resources for solo female travelers. So you start a blog offering tips, safety advice, and destination guides. So in this example, your passion, which is travel, addresses a problem, lack of resources, and with ads or affiliate marketing leads to payment. So I think using the example of travel blogs is pretty applicable here because I've seen a lot of travel blogs written by people who just have a passion for traveling and they want to share that passion and they hope to fund that passion and their traveling by posting, I don't know, information about their travels or pictures about their travels, talking about different locations. And in some cases, this can work, but compared to how many travel blogs there are out there, I've seen a relatively few number of blogs actually make it to the level where they're listed on Empire Flippers for sale and they're an actual business. So in both of those examples I just explained, both sites are talking about traveling, but I think there's a difference that separates the blogs that forever stay as those hobby sites that maybe do want to become businesses versus the profitable businesses in this niche that make good money. And I think it's the problem you're solving, that part of the equation. So looking at this from the lens of the ESS triangle, without creating content that solves something for people in some way, your travel site may feel a bit self-serving, which is perfectly fine if the site is meant to just catalog your or your family's experiences. But if it's a business you're trying to build using your travel activities, it would make sense that you're using this content as more of a medium to address the problems for your audience. And in the earlier example, it was a female traveler providing information to other female travelers on how they can travel solo safely. All right, next let's talk about SaaS examples. So let's say you have technical skills or you want to learn technical skills to get into the tech space, and you have experience from maybe another job where you saw real world issues, even unrelated to tech, like you worked in a warehouse and you saw how many small businesses struggle with inventory management, for example. So you develop a software solution to address this. So again, you have passion, and that's tech, that meets a problem or inventory management issues in this case, and that results in payment through subscriptions to your software. All right, next let's talk about ebooks and audiobooks. So let's say you're passionate about mental health and you recognize that there's a lack of accessible resources, maybe for even a more specific niche within the mental health realm. So you create an ebook or an audiobook series. So your passion, mental health, maybe in a more specific niche, addresses a problem, lack of resources, and with sales of those books leads to payment. All right, next let's talk about digital products. So maybe you're a fitness enthusiast and you see that many people can't afford gym memberships, or maybe they don't have access to gyms during certain periods. So you create online workout courses or digital fitness planners. And in this case, your passion, fitness, meets a problem, which is expensive gyms, and results in payment through maybe the medium of course sales or memberships. So in each of these examples, the online business serves as a vehicle driving towards that sweet spot where, again, passion, problem solving, and payment all meet. But there's also a little hack that might just fast track your journey to that entrepreneurial sweet spot. So you've got the ESS in mind. You want to arrive at that passion, problem solving, and payment midpoint. But what if I told you there's a way to instantly tick off one of those boxes? Well, enter the world of buying pre-existing businesses that are already making money. So the payment part of that Venn diagram is already sorted. Now, instead of starting from scratch, you've got a foundation. You have a business with a proven product market fit. And your job now becomes to mold the business into something that you're passionate about, or maybe expanding the problem that you're actually solving. Instead of the route of building from scratch, you're more so layering on elements that elevate the pre-existing brand. So maybe that's introducing a new product line, tapping into a fresh marketing channel, or maybe even stepping into the spotlight yourself as the face of the business. But one thing to keep in mind if you do decide to go this route is that while it is tempting to dive in and make big changes, don't forget what made the business successful in the first place. You don't want to alienate your existing audience or completely alter the foundation of what's already been working. But if you do this right, the results can be incredible. I've seen some who have managed to 10x their business within just a year of buying it. And the cherry on top is that if you do decide to sell, the value you've now added through these efforts will multiply the business valuation for potentially a truly life-changing exit. And for many who do want to be in the online business world, I think this shortcut is potentially better suited for many, if not a majority of people who enter the online business world. But if you do need some more inspiration to hone in on exactly what type of business you could see yourself loving, I'd recommend joining our free newsletter called This Week in M&A, which covers the top stories in the online business world. And if you're interested in building a content-based business and you want to hear our take on ways to build that to the 8-figure level, then click on the video here where I go over some of the current tactics being used by those successfully doing it. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time.